We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
And you're back on Liberty Nation Radio, heard coast to coast on the Radio America Network. I remain your host, Mark Angelides, and we're continuing our conversation on betting and sports with our Major League Baseball panel of fans, Tim Donner, Andrew Moran, and Joe Schaefer. Now, Tim, you brought up something that really it just started pinging in my mind in the last segment. You were talking about how it's become more of an all-encompassing way to all of these distractions that they have, the hot tubs, the batting cages. It's to bring in people who are not necessarily there for just the pure baseball. And the first thing that popped into my mind was women's basketball. It seems that that has everything going for it except the game itself. It's like, I don't mean that's insulting, but it's
well, I will say that
I don't know much about sports in general, but comparatively, if you want to watch good basketball, it's the men's basketball, right?
One name, Caitlin Clark. That's the only reason why WNBA is.
Caitlin Clark, who was a college sensation, has really enhanced the value of women's professional basketball simply by her presence. But yes, I mean, you have to do things to attract fans that may not otherwise go. Another example is at ballparks now. It used to be you go to the ballpark, you could get a beer and a hot dog and maybe a hamburger and some fries. These days, they have incredibly sophisticated cuisine available at ballparks far and wide, and you can get any number of different cocktails, mixed drinks, spritzers, whatever it is you want. It's almost like going to a restaurant. Yeah, when you go to the game. Yeah, so it's all about trying to cast the widest swath possible in attracting fans. And let's face it, gambling is attractive to people who are prone to want to have more on the line in watching something than just whether a team wins or loses because you're a fan. But you could also say, look, I mean, this is inevitable. Horse racing, where would horse racing be without the ability to bet at the racetrack? I mean, in other words, you go to the racetrack, if you can't bet on those races, you're probably not going to go. And I think that, and it's what has sustained horse racing over the years. So I suppose it's inevitable in this online world where it's easy to bet that baseball would be infected with the same virus, if you want to call it that other sports have been for a long time.
So I just want to come in on this, Tim. So the idea that gambling in sports is a new thing is, of course, not real. I mean, the people used to bet on charioteers. It was one of the main functions of chariot racing that, you go there and you bet on it. But I wonder if the cooperation between the major league teams, because this is new, the cooperation between the teams and the people who are putting who are offering the bets. That's a newer dynamic, isn't it?
Well, I think the danger that you've got, and then I'll let Joe and Andrew take it from there. The danger that you've got is with these billions and billions of dollars on the line. Are we not invariably headed to a scandal similar to the Black Sox scandal over a century ago, where a player's being paid not to try as hard, not to pitch as well, et cetera? It seems inevitable that we'd be headed in that direction with all this gambling money flowing back and forth.
Yeah, you want to take that?
I just think at some point we have to stop talking about I've always acknowledged that sports is a business going back to the 1920s and earlier, baseball, football, all of it. It's about increasing revenues constantly. But again, if you really want to read up about a great commissioner, Pete Rozelle, the National Football League commissioner during the glory days of professional football, when it surpassed America as America's game in the 1960s and 1970s, he always understood one crucial business point: integrity. The integrity of the game and the idea that you are presenting a product of pure sport for the fans. I feel like that's gone today. It's gone. It's a consumerist experience. When you've got these players, when an NFL quarterback is making $50 million a year, and some of them are making more of that, to me, it's inevitable that the integrity of the game is going to suffer at some point. And it's happened a long time ago. You can take this in so many fascinating directions. One of the most compelling things about sports is that the idea is it's a meritocracy. You can either hit 100-mile-per-hour fastball or you can't, and that's it. But that's not even true anymore. Because these kids today, from the age of 8, 9 years old, they're in travel leagues, hockey and baseball especially. So you've got to have money from the get-go just to start this thing. So, you've got kids who are poor and younger. They never even get that opportunity. And you're weeded out by the time you're 10, 11 years old. So sports is not a meritocracy anymore. It's rampant with nepotism. The NFL football coaches are all the kids of, kids and grandkids of another coach or player. And Gonzaga NCAA basketball, I just can't get this out of my head. John Stockton, a Hall of Fame guard, played for the Utah Jazz. He was an alum of Gonzaga University. He got his untalented kid to be a starter on their Final Four team for, I think, 2-3 seasons. Actually finagled him to play in the NBA for a couple of games. He should not have been starting on a Division II basketball team. So it's not a meritocracy anymore. It's an aristocracy now, and it's the money doing this. And it really does feel like wood serfs or the peasants watching these perfumed dandies, what I put in that article, and some playing croquet on some court in Versailles, and we're not even allowed to boo them because Lance McCullers will say you're threatening to murder his kids. Say it's all gone. Call it business. What made it fun to be a fan in the game, to me, is just all this bigness is just destroying that. And Andrew, what do you think of that?
I'm so curious in baseball right now. How has meritocracy been diminished in any way?
Because if you're 8 years old and you don't have money, you don't get on that travel league team, and that travel league team leads to you becoming a prospect on a premier high school team, and that premier high school team gets you drafted or gets you into the cut. It's a pipeline. Wayne Gretzky commented on this in hockey 15 odd years ago. He said, someday, and it's happening right now, the NHL is for Canadian kids and American kids, it's just going to be a sport for rich kids. And if you see the backgrounds of these NHL players today, that's exactly how it's turned out. You're weeded out before you're 10 years old if you actually come from this money. So it's not a meritocracy in the way it used to be.
Well, but I think it's fair to say that, like, the same thing is in the job market. Generally, you can get a job in sports. You can make it on a team through nepotism, but you're not going to last because you have to perform. I mean, it's a performative form of entertainment, like most everything else. If you can't act, maybe you could get hired to go to Broadway, but you're not going to last.
Yes.
If you can, if you can find your way onto a major league team somehow, if you go 0 for 20, you're finished. You're not going to be sustained. So I agree to some extent that there's this nepotism, but sports is still all about performance. And if nothing else, if you can't perform, you're going to get booed off the field. And that by itself will be a humiliating experience, in addition to being basically sent to the minors or removed from the team because you're not good enough.
Again, it's not a pure clean sport anymore. And to me, it's inevitable when the money gets this big. I'm not being naive about it. I am expressing, I guess, some surprise that fans are prepared to be treated this shabbily by players. And Lance McCullers, to me, is the perfect example where, because he didn't enjoy being booed for his poor performance, he accused Houston Astros fans of potentially murdering his children. I think that's where we're at today. They do not want the average fans to give them any guff. Give us your money, bet on the game, fine. Don't criticize us. We're on this. We're in the lead. You don't criticize us. And why cheer for that? Why be a fan of that? Is what I'm saying.
We're going to be back after this short break to find out the future of fandom in Major League Baseball. Don't go anywhere.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.